The NFL trade deadline is Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Time, which is the real time zone. Let's be honest here. And initially, it looked like the Vikings were going to have a full-on fire sale. Everything must go. Pennies on the dollar. Just get every single veteran with a big contract. But, just like every other team that was in the bottom of the standings, that was going to happen, right? So trading Yannick the Freak to the Ravens, basically the difference between a second and third round pick, renting him for 6 games. Would have loved to keep him around. Would be kind of nice, but if he wasn't part of the future, that's fine. And then also rumors of, Kyle Rudolph, is he going to be gone? Rydel Reef, lots of offensive line needy teams around the league. Anthony Harris is on a franchise tag, probably won't be back. Harrison Smith, Adam Jerome, Ezekiel Thielen, the pride of Detroit Lakes, he could be on the move as well. But then the Vikings had a season-saving win on Sunday against the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers, and at 2-5, as improbable as it is, I don't see the Vikings being sellers just because they got that sliver of hope, that 13% chance of making the playoffs and going on a run. Now, if they had fallen to 1-6, yeah, I think that the fire sale would have been on, especially if they did it in embarrassing fashion, but they didn't, so here we are. But now I think that if this team does feel that they are still in contention and they are heading in the right direction, I think that they may keep the band together for the rest of the season. But let's walk through the potential trade candidates. So I think at the top would be Anthony Harris, where he's the free safety of the Vikings on a franchise tag this season, $11.441 million. Now, I don't think the Vikings move anyone at the deadline. I just don't get that vibe right now. But Harris seems like the most likely candidate. His prorated franchise tag would be $6.436 million to a team that lands him. Now, if you're in, especially in the AFC, if you're in an arms race, if you're amongst the Steelers, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills, etc., like maybe you get into the derby here, and maybe you pick up one of the best coverage safeties in the league, even at that relatively steep price. But also remember trade comp. Like the Vikings aren't just going to give him away because if Harris leaves for agency next off season, which I think is pretty likely at this point, then the Vikings will be in line for likely a third or fourth round 2022 compensatory pick. So I think that you'd have to beat the immediacy of that as well as the round ranking of that. So whatever trade compensation would have to be commensurate with that. Next up, so I think Kyle Rudolph is potentially on the block where Irv Smith, his role is expanding. It was kind of showcased Sunday against the Packers. He really can do it all. We've seen him be a phenomenal receiver, especially in that Seattle game, as well as that blocking is light years ahead of where we thought it would be. And Rudy, he's just not getting the targets. He's not getting the opportunities that he once had. But also, I don't think a team wants to pay the $3.95 million left on his contract. Plus, there is still 3 years non-guaranteed left on his deal, but he is still the 5th highest paid tight end in the league. And I don't know. I don't know if a team would essentially give up a lot to go get him, but also it would be pretty embarrassing if the Vikings gave away one of the guys they just extended, as well as a team captain for like a conditional 7th round pick, which I think might be the market right now. Next up, Rydel Reef. Now, Reef would be super attractive for a team trying to bring him on because he's playing extremely well. I think, frankly, he's having the best season of his career. He also might be playing himself into a short-term extension with the Vikings, keeping Ezra Cleveland at right guard. Woo. And then also, he with the pay cut, he's on a $5.9 million salary with a couple incentives in there. So that would be super attractive for a team. But I think that at this point, the Vikings would have to be blown away with an offer. I think the line in the sand would be that second-round pick, trying to recoup that pick from the Yannick Ngakoue trade. So is a team really going to give up a 2, like with the Eagles or the Niners or the Cowboys or other teams with offensive line injuries, like give up a second-round pick for Rydel Reef right now? I guess never say never. I guess we'll see. And then get into the untouchables. Like Harrison Smith, I think it starts and ends with a first-round pick. If a team is not willing to give that up, not going to have that conversation. As well as Adam Thielen, I think that a first and a second would be in line because the Vikings, I mean, they see a lot of value. Thielen's under contract for a number of years at a very reasonable rate. Hometown kid. He's still an extremely elite receiver. Great pairing with Justin Jefferson. So they don't want to move him. Plus, he wants to be here. So this is not a Percy Harvin or Stephon Diggs situation. And they almost got that in trade with both of those guys who wanted to leave anyway. So, nah. But also, saying like maybe a sort of a screwball trade, like maybe Mike Boone, maybe Amir Abdullah to a running back needy team. You look at Seattle, San Francisco, Arizona, all having significant running back injuries. Like maybe, or maybe even something nominal like kicker Chase McLaughlin, who's been on the practice squad as a sort of fail-safe backup plan for Dan Bailey. Maybe he finally gets traded, something like that. But overall, I don't think the Vikings will be buyers at the deadline. I think the most likely trade would have been picking up Desmond King, except he went from the Chargers to the Titans for a 6th-round pick, by the way, which is annoying. But yeah, is there another cornerback out there who may be a fringe guy in the 6th or 7th round range? Possibly, just so the Vikings can have some warm bodies in the secondary against Detroit on Sunday. Maybe. But yeah, I do expect it to be pretty quiet on the Western Front for the Vikings at the trade deadline. I think it's going to be Geraldo's Al Capone vault and just kind of like, whatever. But to speed things up, I could go to an undisclosed location, and then that means that Rick Spielman will trade the entire team, because that's what happens whenever I leave the desk, like news breaks. But overall, that's it. Your thoughts and our thoughts. Vikings trade deadline primer. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work? Pull some in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.